The Dave Hooker Show, represented by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorney. Play to win, banksjones.com.
The Dave Hooker Show. A presentation of Off the Hook Sports. Objective insight, expertise, top guests. Available on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, and the Off the Hook Sports app. Download now for free. Also available on offthehooksports.com.
I compute and obey.
Now to Dave Hooker.
Ready.
All right, welcome to the program. A little smaller number than usual waiting on us. What's going on, guys? Let's get there. So you can help bring them in. If you're on board, smash the like button. That thumbs up button you see helps us so much. If you haven't subscribed at this point, do so. We got a show with Caleb Calhoun. I'm Dave Hooker, and plenty to talk about on a Friday when Ron Slay makes his appearance. We'll break down the SEC weekend and why he thinks Tennessee should be a national championship contender. Why George McIntyre's commitment may be better than even a guy that's named Nico Iamaleava. That's right. So we'll discuss that. And I think it is for a number of reasons, but I understand he could be a generational player. So I have some fun with that. But there's a lot of reasons why you should like the McIntyre commitment in different ways than what Nico did. Now it's been a couple of years back. Josh Heupel, the best head coach who just finished his third year, maybe in the Michigan coaching search, how that could affect Tennessee. We will see. And also, we love visiting with T. Scott Jones. So this has kind of flown under the radar, the James Pierce arrest. We want to get the latest on that and exactly when that should be cleared up and if there's any long-term concern. That's been December the 4th. So I haven't heard any developments on that. So we'll get his insight. Banks and Jones, Tennessee's trial attorneys, play to win, banksandjones.com. And an LSU wide receiver is gambling. And it just seems like it's a matter of time until we get a Pete Rose of this gambling society that we're in now. Caleb, how are you, sir?
I am good, Dave. Happy Friday. It's the last Friday in January. Who you got this weekend for the conference title games?
I'm really rooting for the Lions when it comes down to it. That's because of Hendon Hooker. That's all I want to happen. Them play the games, kick off the games, and Hendon Hooker goes to the Super Bowl.
I want to see the quarterback who throws to Taylor Swift's boyfriend go to the Super Bowl again. I forget his name. I know Taylor Swift made him famous, so I'm trying to remember his name, but because he wasn't relevant until Taylor Swift.
It's my homies, I believe. All right, so, and our poll question for today, we're going to go ahead and get that started right now, brought to you by Andy Mason, AndyMasonRealEstate.com. Real estate experts with over 4 decades combined experience in East Tennessee. Best prices, best service in the Knoxville area. Caleb brought this one up, so we are going to dive into it a bit. We have put it on our poll right now. So, Caleb, you said if Tennessee doesn't beat Florida and Alabama, next year could be a disaster. Was that Caleb trolling a bit, or was that serious? And I'll tell you where the listeners.
We're saving that. We're going to save that topic. I'm going to write a column on it this weekend, and we'll talk about it on Monday. I believe in your
column, but it's the poll question today. So finish this: the 2024 season is blank if the Vols don't beat Florida and Bama. We're not going to spend a lot of time on it, but it's a bleeping disaster. It's okay. I can deal with it. It's fine. Keep calm. All is well. If you had to choose one,
I think it's a disaster. I'll tell you guys why, but I think it's a disaster.
Okay. We'll dive into that in a column next week. But right now, I'm okay. I can deal with that because I think Tennessee could still make the college football playoff just fine. And so let's go ahead and get to McIntyre and Nico. And it's 4 downs brought to you by Dynasty Pools and Spas. That's Dynasty Pools and Spas right there in Athens.
Four Downs brought to you by Dynasty Spas, the most comfortable spas made in the United States of America, right here in East Tennessee. Drop in for the all-new showroom in Athens. Dynasty Spas, perfect for all four seasons. Four Downs, presented by Off the Hook Sports.
All right, check them out. Mention offthehooksports.com and get $500 off. So we get to Four Downs. And Coop, what do we do to get this thing rolling?
Cooper Mays here. Hit like and subscribe.
Boom.
Coop here. First down.
Here's why it's bigger than Nico Iamaleava, the George McIntyre commitment. There's no huge NIL deal that has painted Tennessee into a corner with other players that they have to pay just to stay and continue to do their job. I think that deal originally was I think it was overhyped, and whether that's Spire Sports or UT, I don't know, but you never want to give up your position in terms of the funds you're paying out when you've got more employees that have their hands out as well. So no huge NIL. Is that a significant reason why McIntyre is comparable to Nico?
I mean, it is, but I wanted to debate you on this because I don't think McIntyre is bigger than Nico. I disagree with you.
Okay.
Totally on this.
Then I'll give you mine. And then you can tell me. So,
Cooper Mays here. Second down.
All right. I think he's an in-state guy. I think that helps you recruit in-state, and it's embarrassing to lose one of those guys, as Tennessee will lose one of the top quarterbacks in the 2026 class who is slated to commit to Georgia. I think that's a bad look. All right, Coop.
Tennessee center Cooper Mays here. Third down.
All right. They're similarly rated. They're both five-star guys. Nico's more elite, but we are talking about guys that are at least comparable. And lastly,
all SEC center Cooper Mays here. Fourth down.
George McIntyre said he wants to recruit. He's dying to recruit. He's already reaching out to people. I think Nico did some of that just by social media and the impact that he had, but I don't think he was one of those dogged recruiters, more like a Casey Clausen, let's say, than a Peyton Manning that's going to call kids, other young men, and say, hey, you need to come play for me. I don't think Nico did that a lot. I thought he had an impact. So there you go. Tear me up. It's brought to you by Dynasty Pools and Spas. Four Downs. Imagine having the best spas made right here in the U.S. in your backyard. They are here in Athens. That showroom's awesome. They deliver for you. They've got the complete cover, spa cover, chemicals, support to keep your spa bubbling at its best. Dynasty Pools and Spas. Order the chemicals there for your pool or spa because there's no fillers. Dynasty Pools and Spas. Why am I an ignoramus? Caleb, do you disagree with all four of those, one or two of those, or all of them?
I think all 4 points you make are good. I actually do. I think all of them could actually make George McIntyre more valuable than Nico. I don't think it matters because I think George McIntyre is pointless if Tennessee doesn't win this year. And they're going to win this year with Nico because if they don't win this year at a very high level, I'd fire Josh Heupel. If they don't win 12 games, I'd fire Josh Heupel. I'm telling you the guys that right now. So I think it's pointless to think about George McIntyre because if Nico doesn't deliver for Tennessee, Josh Heupel won't be around to coach George McIntyre. And if he's not around to coach George McIntyre, there's a chance George McIntyre goes somewhere else or he's stuck with a very terrible coach because the history shows that Tennessee will make a terrible hire. They lucked into Josh Heupel. They don't have that good of a track record of hiring coaches if you look at the last 15 years.
So to you, this is a transitional piece, and McIntyre is a cog in the recruiting machine. Is that fair?
Yeah, but everything comes down to what Nico can do. Everything comes down to what Nico can do. Look, if Joe Milton had stayed, this is going to be funny to say. If Joe Milton didn't get hurt against Pittsburgh 3 years ago, and Hendon Hooker didn't come in and take the world by storm, Tennessee does not go to a bowl game in 2021. They are not as good as they are in 2022, and I guarantee you Josh Heupel doesn't land Nico. I don't care what the NIL money is out there says. Because Hendon Hooker balling for Josh Heupel had a huge help in that. Hendon Hooker at that point was more important than Nico. Right now, Nico is more important than George McIntyre. You won't be able to have the success you need to have with George McIntyre unless Nico takes Tennessee to transcendent heights. And that has to happen.
Okay. I don't think as much relies, and here's where you and I differ, on just 2024. I think the program is going in the right direction. So what happens if Tennessee gets off kilter? I know you, Caleb, if something happened with an injury or an injury bug, you would discount that. But something else could happen in terms of team chemistry that could make 2024 a season of great opportunity into a season of great disappointment. But that doesn't mean I'm down on 25 or 26. So while I think Tennessee will have great success and is loading up for 2024, I agree with you on that. But I don't think the results have to be there immediately for Josh Heupel to still be one of the preeminent young coaches in the nation. I think he'd be fine if Tennessee went 9-3 for some reason off fluky plays, which I don't believe will happen. I think Tennessee wins 10 regular season games. I would go into 2025 with Nico having another year under his belt, incredibly optimistic about that season. Don't think we're going to have that discussion, Caleb, but if we did, that would be my take.
Tennessee better have a top 4 finish one of the next 2 years, and I think both of the next 2 years. I think both of the next 2 years.
One and next two, I'm rolling with you. I will say have to have top 4 finish, one and next two. I'm not going to roll with you on both.
I'd say they should do both. They better have one. And if they don't have one, because here's how this works, Dave. You know this. Every new coach recruits really well his first few years, right? How many times have you seen a new coach hired and he's beloved because, oh, look at these classes he brought in. He's building the program. Then he has 1 year where he didn't meet expectations. And what happens? The snowball starts, right? The snowball starts, decommits start, negative recruiting starts. If Josh Heupel has another 9-3 year, every recruit in the country is going to see in their mind that he went 9-3 had another 9-win season. And in their mind, they're going to think, well, that 2022 year was a fluke. 9 wins is a ceiling for Josh Heupel. That's what's going to happen. And the minute they see 9 wins as a ceiling for Josh Heupel, they're out. Josh Heupel has a transcendent quarterback in Nico Iamaleava, and he needs Nico to be a Heisman contender this year. This isn't any growing. This isn't any rebuilding. This isn't any, oh my gosh, we're a young team and we're going to get there. No, you spent too much money to bring too much other talent back. Okay. Nico needs to be a Heisman contender this year.
So if Nico doesn't lead Tennessee to 10 wins, is not a Heisman contender, they probably lost to Florida or Alabama. So our poll question is the 2024 season is blank if the Vols don't beat Florida or Alabama. Blank, a bleeping disaster. Blank, okay, I can deal with that. Blank, fine, keep calm, all as well. 64% would call it a disaster, 12% okay, 24% are basically really okay, which I guess I would be in that lowest category. I've got to be honest. I would be in that lowest category if at the very worst Tennessee went 9-3 this year, which I think is the floor, right? There's not going to be another 8-4 season with Nico.
No, the floor is 10-2. The floor has to be 10-2.
Okay, your floor, but the worst they can do is 9 wins, right?
I mean, I guess that's the worst they can do. I still think it's 10. I mean, I'm sorry. I still think it's 10. And I think the worst Nico could do is be a Heisman contender, is be in New York.
Okay. Well, 9-3 is a disaster, Travis says. My goodness.
Disaster.
And,
and this is why Nico is so much more important than George McIntyre, because there's nothing that George McIntyre can do that will be worthwhile unless Nico does it first. Because if Nico doesn't do it, Josh Heupel won't be around to coach George McIntyre.
Okay, but let me play devil's advocate. You would have said the same thing about Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning did take 10. Peyton Manning was in New York for the Heisman.
Well, yeah, but he didn't win a national title, but they were in the Final Four-ish before they got beat in the bowl game. I'll give you that.
Yeah, I never said that Nico has to win a national title. I mean, it's a disappointment if he doesn't, and I think most people do think it's a disappointment that Peyton Manning didn't win a national title at Tennessee. But Peyton Manning had Tennessee in the conversation every year, and also, again, Peyton Manning was in New York, and I think everybody in Knoxville agrees that he should have won that Heisman. So, I mean, Dave, let me ask you, you bring up a good point. T. Martin was a highly touted recruit, was he not?
Yes.
Does Tennessee win the national title in 98 without the work Peyton Manning put in those 3 years before?
Probably not. Fair point. Even if Nico doesn't win a championship, he could set a tone and set a standard for Tennessee's offense that Hendon Hooker set a couple of years ago, and it certainly wasn't set last year by Joe Milton. Hey, take a quick second and press that thumbs up button. I greatly appreciate that. Mean a lot to me. And hit that thumbs up button. If you haven't subscribed yet, you probably have, because the subscribers are absolutely through the roof, and we appreciate that continuing to grow. Go ahead and subscribe, turn those notifications on. If you're listening on an audio platform, we'd certainly appreciate a review, preferably a 5-star. But you can be honest. How about that? All right, so we get to Josh Heupel, the best head coach who just finished year 3. So go ahead and tell me, where does he rank on this list of coaches that have finished year 3, which really at that point, the significance of it is that you should have a good feel for who a coach is, right? After 3 years?
That is correct.
Okay, where's
Yes,
Josh Heupel on this list?
So there's no real ranking. It's just grades for everyone. And Josh Heupel is one of only 2 coaches to have an A. There was no A+, there was 1 A-. Josh Heupel got an A. The other one who has an A is Steve Sarkisian at Texas. The only other A coach was an A-, and it was Lance Leipold at Kansas.
Yes.
So Josh Heupel, Steve Sarkisian, and Lance Leipold are leading the way. I got to give Lance Leipold credit. I will say, I mean, winning at Kansas is like the most impossible thing in the world to do.
Okay, well, what grade would you give Josh Heupel? Out of third-year coaches, knowing that not graded on a curve necessarily, but knowing that's your backdrop and you're comparing it to them. So apparently the writer here for CBS Sports, who is that, Barrett Sallee?
No, this one is Chip Patterson.
Okay, Chip Patterson. Good old Chip. Don't know who that is. But Chip seems to think that Sarkisian and Heupel are by far the best. They're the A's. Those are the 2 guys. What would you give Heupel? Because I would not give him an A. I mean, an A is exemplary. A+ is incredibly exemplary. I thought he mishandled the quarterback situation last year. So I'd give him an A- or maybe even just a B+ to this point. And my thoughts, Caleb's as well, brought to you in this segment by Don Self, our State Farm agent in the Chattanooga area. Call 423-396-2126. I know everybody wants to save money. I get that, but customer service matters when you make that claim. Trust me, donself.net, over 40 years in the Chattanooga area, donself.net, donself.net. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go with a B. When it would have been an A+ at the end of 2022, but as of 2023, I'm going to flat B, not even a B+. I don't think that he handled the Cooper Mays situation correctly. I think surgery should have been done early on in the season. I don't think Tennessee should have just won 8 games last season, so I can't give him an A if you're not peaking in year 3.
Okay, so I don't move my grades that much from year to year. I was giving him an A- last year because I flashed the warning sign about Josh Heupel's talent evaluation, and everybody was on it, and now everybody was off it because they were upset with the Joe Milton thing. Dave, the mishandling of the quarterback situation last year that you didn't like in 2023, that goes back to 2021 when he decided to get Joe Milton out of the portal in Michigan. That's the flaw. That's the fatal original sin of Josh Heupel. Can we agree with that? Going after Joe Milton to begin with was his original sin at Tennessee. And that was eating the fruit from the poison tree, or the fruit from the tree. And he never should have done it. He did it out of his own cockiness and arrogance because he wanted his guy and he wanted to prove that he picked the right quarterback. And that set up the situation for 2023 that should not have been set up that way. Fair enough. We all agree. We can agree that was a giant mistake. The other 2 drawbacks that I have for him, you got one for me, was Cooper Mays injury. That you're right. That was totally mishandled. If he handles that right, he beats Florida, I'm pretty sure. Easy. So that's a big mistake. The third one is not being able to make adjustments after Missouri blindsided him last year. That was a red flag to me. And I think you agree, right? The fact that they never made any halftime adjustments after Missouri totally changed their game plan.
Missouri came out in a totally different defense. One they had been saving because they got the score ran up on them last year. I was told this by somebody that was involved with the game, and they ran a totally different defense, and Tennessee never adjusted. Tennessee also got out-coached in Alabama. Whether or not you think Alabama was just better or not, they did have the lead, and they made you and I disagree on some decisions in the first half, but still, you have to say Alabama out-coached them because of halftime adjustments, right?
No, I still won't go there. I think Alabama was just that. I've been committed to this the whole time, and I think Alabama was just better. Some people I talked to actually think Josh Heupel abandoned the run game in that game. I don't think he could run the ball in that game.
Okay, but wait. I mean, they clearly made adjustments. I mean, Jalen Milroe. I mean, Tennessee got outcoached and outplayed in that game, right? Both.
Did they get outcoached? Right, was there any?
Right, I think
maybe, but I think mainly it was just Heupel was dramatically outcoaching Saban in the first half. And then I think Saban made adjustments, but I don't think there were any adjustments that Heupel could have made in that game. I really don't.
We're going to get into the whole whether or not you should punt, and we've done that. We've exasperated that. I mean, I don't know how you can have a significant lead and how you can be moving the ball and not and then you have a coach that determines, hey, I'm going to me, that's a great coaching move. That's like if I put a great move on you in basketball and I beat you to the hoop, it doesn't mean you're a bad defensive player, but I just outplayed you. So if a coach makes a drastic change to take advantage of Jalen Milroe's legs, which Nick Saban did, that's a great move. I don't think that Josh Heupel had a great move in that game. So to me, my definition is that that's out coaching.
I think Josh Heupel had
we may be playing semantics a little bit, if you know what I mean.
Well, yeah, because I think the whole thing came down to Tennessee couldn't block Alabama's defensive line, and Josh Heupel couldn't get the run game going. And if Heupel can't get the run game going, he can't run his offense. There's really no adjustment he can make at that point. It's kind of similar to, people forget that a lot. You know, a lot of pass happy offenses are dependent on the run. But either way, even with all those things, and those are all the negatives, Dave, I'm still going to give him an A- over a 3-year period. What he did, that 2021 season going 7-6, that team should have gone 3-9. If you actually look at that team, they should have gone 3-9 in 2021. That was not a good football team. That was a bad football team. Josh Heupel inherited a bigger mess than Derek Dooley inherited in 2010 or 2011. And that team should have gone 3-9 easily, and they went 7-6. That was all Heupel's coaching. And then in 2022, I actually predicted they'd have a 5-0 start, then an 8-0 start and beat Alabama. And I mean, and went 11-2. Yeah, the South Carolina game happened, but he dramatically overachieved in 2022. So I think still, even with the drop off to 8-4 in 2023, I'm still going A- with Josh Heupel. I can't go B range. Who would you take on that list over him?
Who would I take in the list over him? The third year coaching?
Steve Sarkisian, I wouldn't.
No, but I don't. I mean, I don't. I'm never going to like Steve Sarkisian because just he doesn't care about defense at all. I mean, so that's like preaching, kind of turn around and preaching to the choir, literally. So you're never going to have me on board that train. I mean, I think he's done as well as any of them. But I guess what I'm telling you is I don't think that anybody's done an A job. The new poll question that's up, and you can take advantage of that. Go ahead. CBS Sports give Josh Heupel an A for 3 seasons. So here are the choices as I try to manipulate a little bit to make you think. A+, B, C, or D. Surely we won't get any votes for a D. I can't.
So A- is not an option?
A- is not an option because I made it difficult. Because if you go A-, B+, that's just slight differential. Now you have to choose between A+ and B.
At that point, it's easily A+. It's easily A+.
Oh, I disagree. I think it's B. I think it's B anyway. Dave,
there is not a chance in hell that a B coach would have taken Tennessee 7-6 in 2021. Okay? If you gave, I'll just say it. Name a B coach. Gus Malzahn, would you say he's a B coach?
Yeah, Gus Malzahn. Okay, with not B- overall. And I think Josh Heupel. Okay, but wait a second. I didn't say at any point that Josh Heupel was an A+ coach. I said in his 3 years, I would give him a B.
A B job would have meant 3-9 in 2021, and it would have meant 8-4 in 2022. Josh Heupel went 7-6 and 11-2 in those 2 years.
Okay,
come on. And also, let's not forget, last year, again, Josh Heupel's original sin was Joe Milton. But considering that he was stuck with Joe Milton, we're forgetting some of his amazing coaching jobs last year. That Texas A&M game is one of the best coaching jobs I've ever seen Josh Heupel do. Think about that. That's exactly the opposite of how Heupel wants to play. And he totally changed his style to almost, I mean, they won that game the way the Broncos won the Super Bowl with Peyton Manning in 2016. I mean, you got to give him some credit for that. That's not what Josh Heupel wants to do.
With a lot of stem cells. Hemp House, the premier hemp dispensary online with a wide variety. Before you go the stem cell route, you can go to Hemp House. Wide variety, great selection, and strict standards to ensure you only receive the best in CBD or Delta products. Hemp House Chat with 2Ts.com. Hemp House Chat with 2Ts.com. Use the promo code HOOKED, the promo code HOOKED. So you can take part in the poll, but we've also got some people that want to say B+ as well. All right, let me ask you this. So who's an A+ quarterback in our generation, Caleb?
An A+ quarterback or A+ coach?
All right, A+ coach, A+ coach.
That's still coaching.
Well, no, I was going to say Nick Saban. Of our generation, it's Nick Saban, right?
Yes, Nick Saban is an A+ coach.
Okay, of our generation, he is the one. I mean, you could call Kirby an A+ coach too. But for the entire career,
Dabo's an A+ coach. Dabo has done an A+ job at Clemson.
Sure, 2 national championships. Okay, but there has to be some differentiation because Saban is better than both of those guys, I think. Right? He's better than Dabo.
Look, okay, but Saban's an amazing difference. But
yeah, the point I'm trying to make: what would Saban have done with the same 3 years at Tennessee?
No different than what Josh Heupel would have done. Maybe.
Oh, come on! It's the greatest coach in the history of college football, Caleb.
Dave, go look at Saban's 3 years at Michigan State. First 3 years. You want to know what they were?
They're bad. They're bad.
6-5, 6-5, 7-6. 6-5, 6-6, 7-6. If Saban would have done that, now what was a worse job? Michigan State in 95 or Tennessee in 2021? What was a harder job?
I would say Michigan State in general is a harder job.
No, but Tennessee in 2021 was a way worse program than Michigan State in 1995. And it's not even close. Tennessee was as bad as a Power 5 program could be when Josh Heupel took over. Okay? Josh Heupel going 7-6 in 2021 is the most impressive coaching job I've ever seen in the SEC. That's the greatest coaching season in SEC history. Right there. Going 7-6 with that roster. He lost 27 players to the portal. But from a 3-7 team. I mean, that was an incredible coaching job. And so, no, I'm all in. Look, does Saban do a great job? Yes. Are we going to pretend that Saban hasn't had elite talent over the years at LSU and Alabama? And don't delusionally think that Saban would have gotten number 1 classes at Tennessee. He would have because of his name. But like if he just came in with Heupel's, if Saban went to Tennessee with Heupel's track record, Dave, you think he's getting top 5 recruiting classes? He's not.
Say this. If he's whoa. Now, if he shows up from Michigan State or he shows up after the Dolphins and he's had success in college at LSU.
He shows up with the same track record Heupel had showing up.
No. You got to give me the Dolphins guy.
No, I'm giving you the Heupel track record because we're comparing the job Saban did to Heupel.
No, it's his last job. I get the Dolphins guy. Dylan, and I agree with, says Saban would have had us in the playoffs last 2 years off name, power, and recruiting alone.
The Dolphins guy is not fair.
Maybe a little stronger than me, but I'm closer to Dylan than I am to you, Caleb.
Look, no, because this. Okay, Saban. Josh Heupel had Saban's track record roughly going to Tennessee. They had similar track records. Is that fair? When Saban came from Michigan State, excuse me. Saban from Michigan State, Josh Heupel from UCF is where the track records were similar.
I would say that Heupel's was considerably better. I mean,
I think going 9-2 at Michigan State stands out more because they beat Michigan, Notre Dame. That last year, Penn State, they beat like all the Big Ten rivals.
Okay.
That last year.
Okay.
But either way, what I'm saying is that Josh Heupel took over a worse. Y'all are going to hate me for saying this. He took over a way harder job without all the sanctions than Saban took over at LSU or Alabama. I'm sorry, Tennessee is a harder job than LSU or Alabama. It is.
No question.
Yes. And on top of that, Tennessee was dealing with a mass exodus of players in the portal, and they had just gone 3-7 in 2020, and they were under NCAA investigation. And homeboy went 7-6. What'd Saban do his first year at Alabama? You want to know what the record was?
Yeah, I do. It's 7-6.
7-6. The same record Heupel had at Tennessee. Which team was worse?
Actually, I did not think that Alabama team was that bad. I think that he was trying to instill discipline, and he sent a bunch of kids to the bench, and
Simeon Castile.
He kicked out Jimmy Johns. Not the sandwich maker, but the linebacker that was slinging the powder in the parking lot of the facility. And wasn't that the year they had the textbook scandal where right before the Tennessee game that he wanted to make a statement? I was like, what's this stupid coach doing, this Saban guy? I was in the press box and they hand this thing out. I'm like, he's not going to have any success. He's getting 12 guys suspended by the school, and he doesn't even have the power. So I question Nick Saban's power and coaching prowess within a 30-second span in Bryant-Denny Stadium. How stupid am I?
Well, and then the funniest part about that, Dave, is I know the game you're talking about. If there was ever like a clear-cut difference in coaching abilities, watch that Tennessee-Alabama game in 2007.
It was just like, whoa.
Like Nick Saban was so massively ahead of Philip Fulmer on the field in terms of coaching in that day. It was honestly kind of quite embarrassing for Fulmer. Can we be honest? That loss to Alabama.
And when did Tennessee? Tennessee, quite frankly, they were shown in their later stages for the most part under the Philip Fulmer era of having to lean on being more talented. What happened at Notre Dame when Charlie Weiss called 15,000 screens against John
Davis couldn't figure it out.
I mean, 15,000 screens.
You forget the week before the Notre Dame game. Remember when Steve Spurrier just called quick slants? It was just it was the same quick slant play every single play. And Chavis, I mean, again, Nick Saban, 2001 LSU, Matt Mogg. Let's just do the quarterback draw every play. John Chavis, I don't see it coming. And I mean, I could go on. And I'm not knocking Saban as a coach, but Saban went 7-6 at Alabama in 2007. And that was a better team and an easier job than what Heupel did going 7-6 with Tennessee in 2021. Heupel going 7-6 in 2021 is the most monumental, impossible thing that an SEC coach has ever done since I've been watching football.
Are you supporting our sponsors? Well, you should. That's why we are here, and we endorse them all on a personal level. We know all of them, the business owners, we would use their services if we needed them, or we have. Tennessee Cider Company, use their services. The original hard cider, the Smoky Mountains, use the promo code HAT. That's HAT to receive some free swag with a cider order. Available most anywhere in the U.S. tncidercompany.com, tncidercompany.com. The Michigan coaching search is ongoing, and could it affect Tennessee? Why, certainly it could. If there's a smart coach out there that decides to go after some of the right guys, it could have a huge impact. And I'm going to tell you who I would target if I'm the next coach at the University of Michigan. 2 minutes with Caleb Calhoun. I'm Dave Hooker, Off the Hook Sports.
Got cataracts? We can fix that. Never miss another moment. With a little help from Doctors Campbell, Cunningham, Taylor, and Haun at cctis.com.
Hi, I'm Rick Terry, and we at Rick Terry Jewelry Designs pride ourselves in the highest quality craftsmanship from a family-owned business here in Knoxville for over 35 years. At Rick Terry Jewelry Designs, we also take pride in being an affordable option for all your game day accessories, especially those fire opals. At Rick Terry Jewelry Designs, we want to be your jeweler every day and especially on game day. Go Vols!
Hi, Mike Davis here with City Heating and Air, reminding you to always dare to compare. Our team provides quality local heating and air service, installation, and maintenance across East Tennessee. We use only the best equipment like American Standard heating and air conditioning for your residential, new construction, or commercial needs. Honesty, dependability, and customer satisfaction have been the cornerstones of our business since 1961. City Heat and Air. Dare to compare.
We believe every day is a good day to be thirsty. With free samples on draft and lots of flavors to choose from, Tennessee Cider Company prepares a hard cider that's easy to enjoy. Some say it's the signature cider of the South. Others say it's the cure to your craving. They all say you'll savor every sip. The area of Gatlinburg has so much to offer, and so does Tennessee Cider Company. Add us to your list for shopping and fun experiences. You'll be glad you made the trip. Find our cidery in the Mountain Mall on the Gatlinburg Parkway. Sip smart. Sip the good stuff. Sip Tennessee Cider Company. Thirsty yet? Doors open at 10 a.m.
Hey now! What's up, everybody? This is Jacob Warren asking you to like, subscribe, and share. Dave needs this.
The Dave Hooker Show, represented by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorneys. Play to win, banksjones.com.
Who's this guy?
Hello, wizard.
The Dave Hooker Show.
Who?
A presentation of Off the Hook Sports.
What?
YouTube, Apple, Spotify, and the free Off the Hook Sports app. Back to Dave Hooker.
What a bizarre year in coaches when you start to talk about Saban retiring, Harbaugh moving, Pete Carroll out of a job. I mean, these are some big-time college and NFL names.
And Bill Belichick can't get a job either.
Oh, yeah. He can't get a job. Yeah,
that's the crazy part.
Yeah, we need you to come back for a second interview. I guess I'm on to the second interview.
My guess is Belichick is probably demanding he wants to have total control, and people saw him as a GM, and they're like, no, we're not going to let you be a GM. We want you to be a coach.
No, he's an absolutely terrible GM, and it started with a kid that was an incredible reach out of the University of Tennessee, Chattanooga. That was the center, who I can't remember his name. Hit that like button. Please smash the thumbs up button for me right now. We appreciate that. Brings more people into the channel. And let's get your thoughts. We talked about a couple of different things. New poll as we switch that up. CBS Sports gives Josh Heupel an A for 3 seasons. Right now, the choices are only A+ and B. Nobody going with a C or D. A+ has 45% of the vote, so B has 55% of the vote. Chat legend Cole Strange is who Dylan just reminded me that I was referencing. So you're getting hammered down because you would have gone A+ over B over that. So just you can admit that I'm the big winner and I'm the poll master. What?
You cheated, though. You said it at A+ or B. It should have just been A.
What did I just say? That didn't sound. What, Master? All right, here we go.
Dave loves Hookers love the poll, guys.
Okay.
Starts on the poll and then it
off the poll. That's my Chris Rock imitation. That's the best I can do. If you ever have a daughter, your only goal is to keep them off the pole. There you go. So you're having a son, though. You're having a son. You don't have to worry about that.
No, I got to keep him from selling drugs. That's the rule with the son. Is you got to keep him from selling drugs.
Don't let son sell drugs. I'm turning into Bill Cosby, which is weird.
What the? What was he thinking?
Release the hounds.
The Dave Hooker Show.
Keep cool.
A presentation of OffTheHookSports.com.
Here's how I would build Michigan's coaching staff. I would get an offensive guru, whoever that might be. But I would find an offensive guru, and then I would get a guy who knows how to coach with an offensive-minded coach on the other side as a head coach. And I would take a look at Tim Banks because he knows how to deal with it. Now, if Michigan doesn't go that route, and you want to go the Harbaugh route, which is physical and pretty nifty, pretty speedy, pretty different. So it's not just a boring offense, but if you want to go that route and you can find that guy, and I don't think there are a lot of those guys out there that can combine physicality with good skill position play. But if you want to try that, then the one coach I think it's obvious that you would call off Tennessee's staff, and we'll expand it out to the SEC, would be Rodney Garner. Because the issue that Michigan is going to have more so than Ohio State because of their in-state talent, they're gonna have some issues in some of those big guys. I'm talking about the 330-pound guys that anchor down the middle in the SEC. They got big athletic defensive tackles at Michigan. We've seen that with Hutchinson, who may go to the Super Bowl, but we haven't seen that consistently enough to think that they can match Georgia and what was once Alabama in terms of those big nasties. So those are the two coaches right now that I would be most concerned about losing, whether it's Michigan or anybody else calling. And I'm curious who would be on your list, but also this is about the time where you could see a coach bolt. Tennessee staff's been incredibly loyal and they've promoted from within. Is losing a coach even a concern for Tennessee this year?
I've never said losing a coach offensively is a concern. I think, and I'll talk about this outside of Glenn Ellerbe. Glenn Ellerbe is the one you don't want to lose, the offensive line coach. I don't think they care to lose. I think Josh Heupel can plug and play with receivers coach, running backs coach, his offensive coordinator. Tennessee shouldn't be paying. Sorry, I'm not trying to be a hater, guys. Tennessee shouldn't be paying Joey Halzle what they're paying him. because it's Josh Heupel's offense. You should be spending money to keep your defensive coaches that you believe in more than anything else. And by the way, on the other end, I'm just a quick side note. Georgia was stupid for paying Tavares Robinson that much to run their defense. Kirby Smart's the defensive coach. I don't know what he's thinking, but
I think it's just slotted that way. So what would you do if you didn't do that? Would you just hire like a really good recruiter instead of a Halsley and say,
here's my loophole. If I'm Josh Heupel, I would just be the offensive coordinator and the quarterback's coach, and I would hire an extra defensive staff member.
That is not the worst idea I've ever heard, to be out of left field. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's what I'd do. I'd be like, I'm calling the plays. I'll be the quarterback's coach and offensive coordinator, and I'm just going to hire an extra defensive staff member and then a really good defensive coordinator. Yeah, that's what I would have done. And this isn't and by the way, I would have said that with Alex Golesh. All of you guys who actually think that losing Alex Golesh means anything, you haven't followed Josh Heupel's career. Josh Heupel won before Alex Golesh. He won with Alex Golesh. He'll win after Alex Golesh. The issue last year was very glaring, and it was about the guy that Josh Heupel wanted taking the snaps.
I agree, but a lot of people on our message board, guys I respect, are saying that people aren't happy with Joey Halsley, that he's the problem. That never even occurred to me until I saw somebody say that in December.
Yeah, but if that was the case, why was Josh Heupel's best year ever his first year at UCF, and he had Jeff Lebby as offensive coordinator? And everybody fell in love with Golesh because he put up a fight with Alabama. Not offensively. He lost that game 17-3. He put up a fight with Alabama because Nick Saban and Tommy Rees were in complete disagreement over what to do at quarterback at that time. That's all that happened in that game. And
so and help me, guys, on the message board that you absolutely don't like Halsley. I mean, does anybody? I think that his only job description was basically come up with a couple of ingenious plays, come up with 2 or 3 that are a little bit different than anything I've thought of. I'm being Josh Heupel now. And that's about all we want from you, because I'm still going to handle game preparation and I'm still going to handle play calling. But if you can come up with 2 or 3 plays that you can use every once in a while, like the Princeton fan at fullback or some of the slip screens they ran on the goal line, I remember being a couple 2 years ago. That's all I need. I don't really need you to come in and develop a game plan, do I?
That's probably all he had Alex Golesh do too, though. And I guess that's what I meant.
Agreed.
Yeah, come up with 3 play calls that we can catch them off guard at some point in the game. Now, those play calls were very successful in 2022. They stood out. I'll give you that. But that's not the meat and potatoes of the that's not the meat and potatoes of what Heupel's going to do. Now, to get to Michigan, the thing is, and I'm gonna have a video on this on how Jim Harbaugh rebuilt Michigan pretty soon. But how Harbaugh, what they run an offense called the Power Coast offense, which is the quarterback is trained in the West Coast offense, but the running game, the West Coast offense, the nature of it are zone reads on the runs. But the running game for Michigan is one-on-one blocking, winning your one-on-one matchups, even though the quarterback plays the passing game is the West Coast offense, basically. And
let me throw this at you. A bit of a pushback from me, Drinker, but Golesh was good. Caleb, UCF played a different schedule, different opponents. Maybe I'm wrong. What's your take on that?
Okay, yeah, UCLA played a different schedule, different opponents, but it was also Josh Heupel had different talent and different players at UCF.
Don't you? But you would agree that Golesh is a better coach than Halsley, right? Just based off experience and age. If I'm hiring one, I'm hiring Golesh, not Halsley. I'm not saying he's the problem, but
I wouldn't have. I mean, yeah, I guess. But I don't think this offense, I think this is Josh Heupel's offense. I think the coordinator is a plug. And I mean, I think the assistant is honestly, and maybe I'm being unfair. I will say this, guys, up front. I said this about Kirby Smart for years, and I was wrong. I thought that was just Nick Saban's defense, and Kirby Smart was a little puppet to.
I did too. And I thought Georgia making a knee-jerk reaction to hire him when South Carolina came after him was a sad move for Georgia. And I saw that. I said that at the time. I said they should be able to get a premier coach. I was dead wrong. But I agree with you, too. I didn't think it was Kirby Smart's defense.
Yeah, I didn't either. So I've missed on this before. And see, this is where we're going to see with Harbaugh.
Can I tell you a secret?
Sure.
You ain't missing on it now. You're not missing on it now. I mean, you got it nailed down. You're exactly right. If Josh Heupel walks out the door and Halsley stays, the offense goes with the guy who's calling the plays and putting the offense together. And his name's Mr. Heupel.
Yeah, exactly. It's absolutely Josh Heupel. And this is where I don't think Michigan would target anybody from Tennessee because of that, by the way. Because Michigan, the offense, the defense at Michigan plays complementary to the offense, right? And quite honestly, Michigan wants the defense to actually win the games. And even Rodney Garner wouldn't be the best there because Rodney Garner coaches the fundamentals of playing defensive line. Michigan has to schematically shut people down defensively, which they do. Well, it's a little bit different.
Let me ask you this though, Caleb, from a different perspective. While we don't think that Tennessee staff is going to get rated, certainly the Brian Kelly, because of where he's from, to Michigan makes a lot of sense.
He ain't going, guys.
I don't think he is either. But hang tight. There may be gals out there too. Too broad of a brush. But what coaching staff would you like to see Michigan attack if you're in the SEC? I'm going to give you one that's going to surprise you. Ready? I guarantee you that the contracts haven't been signed at the University of Alabama. What if whoever Michigan hires has connections to a couple of coaches at Alabama and says, I'm calling my good buddy Ed and Tom, and I'm going to bring them to Michigan. And suddenly Alabama is going through another churn of people going, well, you promised me, Kayshon Boutte, that you were going to save my career, and you can't even keep your own coaches.
Oh, my gosh, you are right.
That's
You're right. And here's the big reason that's
they
a
are
big deal.
already recruiting. I guarantee you they haven't signed their contracts.
No, you're right. See, it doesn't matter with Georgia because Georgia's actually kind of got the Tennessee Heupel thing. As long as Kirby Smart's there, Georgia's fine, right? We can agree with that. They're going to mix and match and they're going to get talent and win. Doesn't really matter. That's a very good point, though. You rate Alabama's staff, which Michigan could do, because there are some. Michigan has to win schematically. They can't just. I mean, I think Kirby Smart's loading up on talent and rolling out of football. You can tell me if I'm wrong on that.
I was told that Michigan had Kayshon Boutte. Kayshon Boutte. Sorry. I've got so many Calebs. You can at least understand me for that one, unlike the Satterwhite or Satterfield. But I was told that Michigan had Kayshon Boutte as one of their top 2 or 3 guys that they were going to go if Jim Harbaugh left. So, and I was going to throw this out to you, and I mentioned it via text. We can dive into it right now as part of what we're talking about. Heard an interview with Kayshon Boutte on the Dan Patrick Show. You know I'm a big fan. And, boy, it just really sounded like he's gotten himself into a mess. They asked about not being able to enjoy the national championship because he had to go, and he's like, that was rough. They asked about, do you actually get Nick Saban's office? He said, yes. And they said, what's that like sitting in it? And he goes, well, haven't really done it yet. And it felt like if I'm Kayshon Boutte and I've stepped into this mess when at Washington, I'm walking on water. I think Kayshon Boutte is realizing he has made a huge, monstrous mistake. Huge.
Oh, I think so too. But here's the problem. I said that, and we and you both said it at the time he made a mistake. Here's the problem, and this is kind of the issue. Alabama is Michigan circa north, or circa south. Michigan is Alabama circa north, because Michigan's a second-tier job. It's not that good of a job. They have the expectations of being the all-time winningest program, but you talk about it, Dave. You can't get the talent there, and it's
Tennessee or Michigan, better job.
Tennessee because of NIL. They're much more comparable.
Yeah, and they're in the SEC. There's better talent around, despite the fact that you make it.
Okay, I gotta say, you make it sound like being in the SEC is a good thing. Okay, that actually hurts you in a lot of ways too. So, like Ohio State is a very easy job because they're in the Big Ten and you can just lock off Ohio. I'm still shocked that Ohio State hasn't had a dynasty going for years, quite honestly. But look, guys, I want to point this out. And you know this, Dave. This is why when y'all bring up Brian Kelly, Les Miles was a Michigan grad. Remember how he refused to leave LSU for Michigan? Why? Because Les Miles knew the talent in Louisiana, and he knew it was a much easier job.
Yeah, that was not I love my homeschool blah. That was. I know I have a much, much better job. And LSU is a much, much better job than Michigan or Notre Dame. Probably, I wouldn't say Ohio State, but better than Penn State.
They're comparable.
Yeah, no, I agree.
LSU and Ohio State. LSU is the peak. Those are the two peak jobs, and Georgia is it too, Dave. You know, they say it in basketball, like John Calipari recruits one and dones and he rolls out the basketball. LSU, Georgia, and Ohio State, you can just roll out the football and win a national championship, right? Get guys and roll out the football and let them play. You don't have to really coach that much, honestly. And you're not going to, that's the thing with Michigan, is that at Michigan, you do have to coach. You have to coach well, too. It's not that great of a job. So I don't think they're going to raid the SEC the way they would like to raid the SEC.
All right, this day in Tennessee sports history coming up. Also, Ron Slay will join us, and we'll give you some insight into that James Pierce arrest. How serious is that, and is it about resolved itself? In 2 minutes with Caleb Calhoun, I'm Dave Hooker. This day in Tennessee sports history up next.
Sand and salt water, the beach is a very relaxing place. Unless you wear contacts. Ow! Open your eyes to the best the beach has to offer with LASIK vision correction from Campbell Cunningham Laser Center.
Sports Treasures in North Knoxville is one of the South's largest sports cards and memorabilia dealers, featuring over 10 million sports cards from vintage to modern. Sports Treasures carries a full line of hobby boxes, singles, autographed memorabilia, Tennessee Vol collectibles, fan cave decorations, and so much more. See a museum full of collectibles at Sports Treasures, 4819 North Broadway in Fountain City, and Sports Treasures on Facebook. Sports Treasures, where the real sports fan goes to shop.
Have you seen the latest TriStar Hats Co. product?
TriStar Hats Co.? What's that?
You know, those really cool hats, shirts, tumblers, and even license plates with 3 stars like the official Tennessee flag and stripes like the American flag. Pretty patriotic if you ask me.
Gotcha. Seen those. Those are cool. Where can I get them?
Simple. TriStarHatsCo.com. And if you order now, there's 10% on any order $50 or more. Plus, use the promo code HOOKED.
With the promo code HOOKED, you get 10% off. That's hooked.
And don't forget free shipping with any order over $50. Stock up at TriStarHatsCo.com. That's TriStarHatsCo.com. There are plenty of wannabes out there, so make sure you go to TriStarHatsCo.com for the best quality and customer service.
Will do, and I'll be sure to use the promo code HOOKED. That's hooked when I do, to save an additional 10% off. TriStarHatsCo.com.
TriStar Hats Co. is a trademark of TriStar Hats Co. LLC. Any use without express written consent is prohibited.
The Dave Hooker Show, represented by Banks & Jones, Tennessee's trial attorneys. Play to win, banksjones.com.
Who's this guy?
Hello, who is it?
The Dave Hooker Show,
Who?
a presentation of Off the Hook Sports, YouTube, Apple, Spotify, and the free Off the Hook Sports app. Back to Dave Hooker.
Just a little bit, Ron Slay is going to join us, but this day in Tennessee sports history this day in volunteer history. You don't want to do Titan stuff. It's brought to you by Rick Terry Jewelry Design. They want to be your jeweler. Looking for affordable game day jewelry. You'll look fantastic. Headed out to the diamond or the court with those fire opals. A Tennessee tradition. RickTerryJewelry.com. RickTerryJewelry.com. Tennessee basketball with a win on this day in Vols history. What do you got for me?
So Tennessee, 5 years ago, believe it or not, was number one in the nation. It was only the second week in school history that they had ever been number one. The first being 2008 against Memphis. Right after that number one ranking, after they beat Memphis in 2008, they came back and lost to Vanderbilt on the road 3 days later. This time, they held off Vanderbilt in overtime. The reason this game is significant is they beat West Virginia this day in sports history 5 years ago on the following Saturday by 17 points. That win over West Virginia assured that they would be number one for 2 consecutive weeks for the first time in history, because they had never held the number one ranking, which, as you know, Dave, holding the number one ranking is more impressive than reaching the number one ranking.
True. I had this question pop into my mind, and not a full-blown topic that we're going to dive into, but I would like your thoughts on the message board, because Tennessee baseball has gotten big, and baseball coverage in general has gotten much bigger. I'm curious, Caleb, what would have a bigger impact from a publicity standpoint, not a revenue standpoint. So take revenue out of it, but to win a national title in baseball, and they start practice today, or would it be for the basketball team to make the Final Four? Is it even debatable?
It's still basketball make the Final Four. That's not even close.
I think it is. What if I tweaked it to basketball Elite Eight? That's a decent tournament run, right? And then I'm going to go Sweet 16. Where's your cutoff point where you say a baseball championship is better than this run?
Sweet 16. I'll give you Sweet 16, but I think Elite 8 does carry some value, and I think Elite 8, Final Four, and all that carries a lot of value. I will give you this, and I don't. What
do you think the fans would want more? Finish that topic, but you have a ring. A ring's pretty cool.
I still think they prefer a run in the NCAA tournament. People love March Madness. They love it so much. They love having a deep run. So the idea would just be so much. I think the excitement of making an NCAA tournament run is still outweighs it. Look, I think a women's national championship in women's basketball outweighs a baseball national championship right now. Still, so now I'm
going to roll with you there.
I think it still does. One of the interesting parts about this is it's funny you bring this up because I think you're starting to see, and this is the truth, because how many of y'all have been to a minor league baseball game in the last few years? And I don't care what level, single A, double A, triple A.
I have. I threw out the first pitch a couple of years ago.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
They are getting so out of touch with their many minor league programs are so out of touch with the fan experience now and not understanding the importance of the fan experience and being more than just a farm system for the major leagues that's why you see so many minor league baseball teams going defunct. College baseball gets that perfectly. You've been to a college baseball game, right, Dave? They understand exactly that this is a fan-centered event and it's supposed to be fun.
Yes and no. I think they're getting there. I think having walk-up music in the super regionals, which they're going to start to do, is a factor. I think they're making it more sellable. Chad says, Caleb, spitting facts. Go Vols, excited for 2024.
Okay, I'm getting to this point with college baseball. What I was trying to say is that I think you are about to see a renaissance where the best players don't go to the minors. They go to college.
Oh, I totally agree. Because they're going to take NIL money.
Oh, yeah, exactly. It'll be and so you're going to see a crazy renaissance of college baseball that is going to Major League Baseball is coming back because they actually put in a pitch clock finally, and they put in things to shorten the game. You're going to start seeing college baseball basically run minor league baseball out of business.
Well, it's not going to be out of business, but it is. They already knew that they had a problem before college baseball got bigger. They knew they had a problem, so that's why they started to shut some teams down, and they're going to continue to do that. And I think it's a lot of is what you said. You don't understand the fan experience. Listen, to go to a Smokies or a Lookouts game or whatever your team is and see them win 3-2 in exciting fashion over the Montgomery Biscuits is not as gratifying as getting a fantastic bratwurst and an IPA for most people. That's what you're talking about. The fan
an IPA for $2, by the way.
Yeah, the the fan experience is what it's all about. The guy that always got the fan experience is the one and only Ron Slay. So we're going to talk some Tennessee basketball, and Ron is already on the record that he thinks Tennessee can compete for a national championship in 60 seconds. We'll hear from Ron Slay. His appearance is brought to you by Dynasty Pools and Spas. Having the best spas made right here in the United States of America in your backyard. Dynasty Pools and Spas. Their showroom is open in Athens right off the interstate. You can stop by and check out the best hot tubs and spas in the market. And then delivery, yes, they can do that to Knoxville or Chattanooga. They've got complete support, spa cover, and chemicals to keep your spa bubbling at its best. They also have pool chemicals as well. Dynasty Pools and Spas, amazing discounts for first responders, military, and even some blemish models that can save you a ton, and no one will ever notice. Mention Off the Hook Sports, get $500 off. Mention Off the Hook Sports, get $500 off. Dynasty Pools and Spas. Go to dynastypoolsandspas.com or or stop by that showroom in Athens. DynastyPoolsAndSpas.com. Dynasty Pools and Spas. We'll bring up Ron Slay here in just a second. I'm curious of what you've seen out of college basketball. I know Ron has gone on the record and said he thinks Tennessee can compete for a national championship. That would certainly involve getting past where Rick Barnes usually gets bounced out of the tournament. But from what you see of the college basketball landscape, is that doable for Tennessee when you compare to them to the other best teams out there?
I think it absolutely is this year. And I think the lack of depth is the one concern you have for this program. But as far as being a national title contender, I mean, yeah, it's hard for me to say that they're not a legit national title contender. I think that, and what I brought up is what they have this year that they haven't had. They have enough 3-point shooters, and they have, for the first time ever, a combination of enough 3-point shooters and a really strong presence in the post. So I think this team is cut out. Oh, and they have a go-to scorer. They have all three things, which are all huge in trying to win a national title. And it kind of, yeah, I think this is a big deal, and this will definitely help them in they've usually had one of the three or two of the three, but they haven't had all three. In 2019, they had two of the three. They had a great interior presence, and they had great 3-point shooting. But you're right, they didn't have a Dalton Connect, because while your post player being your best scorer is fine, you know this, Dave, you can't put the ball in Grant Williams' hands at the top of the key and say, go score for me.
I mean, no, that's not good. That's going to be dribble.
Exactly.
Mead Drinker says, Hook, did you go to the Lookouts game the year Jordan came and played there? No, I didn't get to go to any of his games. I was a young guy and didn't have that ability to go see his games. But have you ever thought about how odd it would be if Steph Curry just up and played 3 years in the minors? Or was it was like 18 months. I'm sorry. But wouldn't that be bizarre? Or if LeBron in the middle of this, maybe it would be tied to gambling. That's
I mean, are we sure? Yeah, we sure it wouldn't be because of a scandal.
I think it would be tied to gambling. I don't think there's any question about that. And I thought that with Michael Jordan. All right, let's bring up Ron Slay. Perfect timing. He is the man. Ron Slay joins us now. He's got the serious face on. Smile, Ron. It's Friday.
The smile's hard to come out for some reason.
Yeah, Ron, you had a Wi-Fi issue and you were frozen on your serious face for a second.
Yeah, I thought Ron was mad at me for a second.
It's the face I remember when he was ready to fight under the basket.
Hey, yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot of those times, Caleb.
Ron, where would you rank as a scrapper on the basketball court?
Oh, the upper echelon of them. You know what I mean? Right below Mike Tyson style. You know what I mean? Probably more of a Reddick Bow. You know what I mean? Like not a one-hit wonder, but a guy that's gonna get in there a little Ali with. I'm a mixture, man. I got a little bit of Joe Frazier, a little bit of Ali because the trash talking. Reddick Bow because I may be a little overweight after winning. I had a little bit of Buster Douglas.
No, there's not any Buster. I had you young Foreman with the reach because of the reach.
Yeah, but see, my thing was after watching Foreman's story, his movie, you kind of feel like, man, Foreman was a little bit indecisive. I wasn't indecisive. I knew I'm coming in at a fight. I'm gonna talk trash. It is what it is. Like I ain't got no other higher beings that's keeping me from doing that. I'm coming in to handle some business. So.
Okay, before we break down this Tennessee basketball team, I know what you're doing. Before we do that, hit that like button. Go ahead and smash that thumbs up button. We can bring more people in here, and we want to do that and subscribe. But I want to ask you, would you rather take a body blow, if you had to do one of the two, a body blow from Mike Tyson and nobody sees it, or you get posterized? I mean posterized by a very average player, and it's hanging on people's walls, and it's Sports Center, dunk, and it's all on you. Which one? If you had to pick.
Posterize all day long. I'm not. There's no way.
So you would rather look like Patrick Ewing?
Hell yeah. Do you know, Lou? They said Mike Tyson. We talked about this in college one time. We were all big fans of Tyson. They said the pressure that Mike Tyson comes with a jab, not even cocking back, not reeling up, not a hook, anything, just a jab to your ribs. I think they said it was like 800 pounds of pressure, something stupid. Like, and they were saying like a quick hit like this much space, a boom. I was like, oh no, man, hell no. Never. Mike Tyson, I don't even want Mike Tyson to pinch me.
That'd be bad. I'm scared of Mike Tyson. I think he's unstable.
You know, when I lived in a quick story, when I lived in Memphis, when I was in 9th grade, that was when the Tyson ETN fight happened in Memphis at the Pyramid, and Tyson punched him and knocked him out in 24 seconds. So what you saw was ETN was like, I'm just going to fake being knocked out. I don't want to get hit like that again.
Dude, so that's what I'm saying. You want me to put me on your walls. At least I'm on your walls, and then your pictures as a screenshot. I'm living in history, not dead in history. At least I'm still living with the poster.
Good point. All right, you got the shirt on. Can people order the shirt? Are you swagging it up there?
Yes, they can, man. They can get them, man. The Boom Boom Room hoodies, they are rocking and rolling, man. I just left the post office. That's why I was a little bit late, but shipping them out, man. I'm shipping them everywhere. Utah, Toronto. I'm shipping them everywhere. You can't miss, man. The Boom Boom Room hoodies, red. No, not red. Blue, black, and gray. The orange ones all sold out. So the orange ones were pretty hot commodity. May have to get some more of those in, but all you got to do is DM me at the Ron Slay, THEE Ron Slay on Twitter, the Boom Boom Rooms page, or the Ron Slay on Twitter, the Ron Slay on Instagram, the THEE.
All right, Ron, you were talking to that Josh Ward guy who's just as shady as they come.
You got to keep your eye on him. I mean close one too.
He's like little and shifty, and he scares me. He's got a little hand, smells like cabbage. Like Ron, he had you on his show there with this other guy who played receiver for Tennessee, and suddenly you're saying that Tennessee is a true national title contender. That's a strong statement coming from an analyst, but I got to be honest with you, as my more football eye than basketball eye, I wasn't surprised for you to say it. I think they are. Why do you think they are?
Well, first and foremost, I held my reserve as long as I could. Like, I didn't want to jump on that bandwagon of being, they're hot, this and that. Man, I think honestly, like when you look at a complete team, the way Adu has emerged, like giving you an inside presence, you come out in games and you know who Dalton Connect is, you know who Santi is, but you feed Adu early in the game and he delivers. Like, I'm watching this man and I'm trying to figure out, why does he keep shooting this ugly left-hand hook going off the glass? And it goes in. I'm like, okay, the man's been working on this. So any of this is not new. The short pick and roll pocket pass that they were getting killed, if you think back 2 years ago when they played Michigan, they got killed when, was it Olivier? He couldn't play that game. So Euros had to play the pick and roll and they were trapping Kennedy Chandler, giving it to Euros. Euros was making the right play, but he was passing out of it. Nobody was guarding him. It's the same thing for Adu. They wasn't closing out on him. So that short 15-footer, he's nailing that. And he's shooting it with confidence and he's making a play. I love that right there. I think that's a whole different dynamic to have that inside presence coupled with a guy on the wing that can get his where you defense is going side with ball movement, body movement, hoping you can get a good shot. When you got him going, regardless if it's a good shot or not, he keeps 2 to 3 pairs of eyes on him. So guess what that helps with? Offensive rebounding. So that physicality that Tennessee presents, that's where you get to pick that up with Josiah Jordan. He was a calculator every now and then. Same thing. You look at the depth finally starting to come in the picture. I think when Gainey is making shots like he did, you see outbursts and blowouts the way you did against Alabama. That is huge coming off the bench. The games they've won, they've been outscored by the bench play, and that's why I was reserved to say any of this. 33-4, 38-11, something crazy numbers, and they still were able to win and sneak out with a victory. So to see this come together, and they still are not at their peak. Like this team got so much room to get better. It's amazing to watch, man. Freddie DeLeon's starting to get playing time, so he's earning trust in practice. Toby Awaka is who we were raving about, and he can't get on the floor because Adu won't get in foul trouble, and he's too efficient. So it's like you go back to Toby, and you're like, son, you're not doing anything wrong. We're going to find time for you. Dude is just playing phenomenal right now. We got to ride this wave. Until then, so you look at the teams that can vie for the national championship. You look at Auburn playing 10 players, 15 or more minutes. You look at Kentucky. You see exactly what they are with their depth. Kansas, the same thing. You look at Purdue, same thing. Even though I don't think their depth is as good, but Houston, it's a lot of teams that rival Tennessee, man, and I think they're right up there in the upper echelon with them. And when you talk about playing at home, getting ready for seeding, that defense is smuggling and smothering people, and that's just who they are. Now you couple that with we ain't talking about Zakai, we ain't talking about Josiah, we ain't talking about Santi. We still waiting on them to come along. Outside of Zakai, you get them other two All-SEC performers playing just to their level, not over and beyond, just to their level. You got a team to deal with, man.
Dynasty Pools and Spas brings you Ron's appearance right there in Athens. They have the showroom. They can deliver to Knoxville or Chattanooga. Mention Off the Hook Sports. Get $500 off. Everything's included with your spa purchase. Also got to go to Dynasty Pools and Spas to buy the best chemicals for your pools and hot tubs, both no filler. And it's all made right here locally in the United States of America. Caleb?
So, Rod, you and I really much see eye to eye on this because I think you and I've been calling for Adu the whole time. I called him out in December, and he's been answering the call. Rick Barnes kept talking about how good he was and just kept insisting, just give it time. At the rate he's developing, dare we bring the Grant Williams in the post comparison yet because of what he's been able to do recently?
If you talk about production wise, I don't see why not. Like Grant was going off with 18 and 15 and things of that name. The only difference is I don't believe Adu will have the opportunity to explode for a 40-point game. Now I could be mistaken, but that 40-point game did come against a team in Vanderbilt who they got to go play Saturday, who you have a size advantage on, and Grant was able to get to the free throw line. You know what I'm saying? So he made them pay at the free throw line with like 20 some odd free throws. So I'm not sure if Adu will cause the defense to double and him fight through it as Grant would, knowing that he got other guys outside that he'll kick it back out to. That's one thing about Adu. He doesn't force it. If you see a double team coming, he kick it back out to the open guy and let them get going. Grant, he's going to bust through that double team and go put it on the rim, go get it again and put it back. So it's a little bit of a different mindset. I think that's the only thing. But production-wise, as far as being efficient and things of that nature, that may be it's a recent thought. That may be it. I'm going to be honest. And you hate to say that. I don't hate to say that, but you're reluctant to say that because of back-to-back SEC Player of the Years and things of that nature. And it was kind of done in a different fashion. But production-wise, man, I can't see too much difference.
Well said.
Ron's appearance brought to you by Dynasty Pools and Spas. Mention Off the Hook Sports for $500 off any spa. Ron loves jumping in the hot tub with us. So, and we love bring in. Ron, it's funny. We had an old teammate of yours. We had Isaiah Victor on earlier this week. And we were talking about, and I want to ask you this because I'm actually seeing the mean streak in Adu because I'll give Urosh Plavchik this. I didn't think he was that good, but at least he had a mean streak about him. It looks bad when you have that mean streak and you can't play. Stuff. Yeah. But I know that interior players need that mean. I know interior players need that mean streak. I think that's what's held Blake Griffin back from being a superstar in his NBA career. Can you coach a player to turn into that? Or do they just have to figure it out on their own?
Yeah, I don't think you can coach a player to figure that out, but I do think you can surround them with bodies and people with that mindset to kind of hide it where it's not him that's giving off the mean streak, but it's his teammates. Like I think honestly, Zakai presents enough bravado and mean streak in him where Adu doesn't have to be mean. Like he's mean for Adu. Anything Adu won't say, he's gonna say. Same thing for guys like Isaiah Victor. He had plenty of mean streaks, but if I game with him, he wasn't gonna have to say a word. Saying he want him and back it up. That's the thing. So that's the part when you're out there mean and you're talking trash, you got to be able to go back it up, regardless if it's someone. And that's what I always knew with my teammates. They were never gonna leave me out to hang. They were always gonna be like, "Oh man, Slay talking. We got to go and step our game up a little bit, dog, because we know they're gonna put a bullseye on their back." So you got to be able to go to war with your guys. And I think when Zakai gets to acting the way he does, that's the point guard, that's the head of the snake, and he leads them guys, and them guys follow, and they can't wait to get into the foxhole. A lot of them not that talkative, you know what I'm saying? But when it's time, you got the one leading, and all you need to do is be able to turn around and see who's behind you, and this guy's gonna be behind him. He's gonna be fine. So I don't think you can coach that, but I do think you can surround him with guys that can pull that out for him.
God bless Santiago Vescovi and his family. They lost his grandmother, so he had to go back to Europe, and completely understandable how that would throw you off your game. But how close do you think he is to being full Santi?
I think he's coming back around. I think he's probably about, I would say 65-70% to where he to getting back to 100%. And I say that because he's a guy, man, that does so many other intangible things. You know, if this was in the past and you felt like you really needed to rely on his scoring to help you get you over the hump, then the team would take a fall from that. In this situation, you got other guys that can score. It's up to them to help pull him along, and he can continue to do the intangibles: 8-9 rebounds, 6-7 assists, being able to space the floor. Because one thing about it, I don't care if he's in a slump or not, you better not leave him open. And he's showing that. Like, Alabama, play if you want to and don't rotate, he's going to nail it. You give him an open look, he's going to nail it regardless. So I think he is getting back to that, but I think he's able to do that by being able to do other things and being comfortable in doing other things as far as pushing the pace, taking the pitch ahead pass, and creating pressure on the defense. And he's getting other guys open. So his playmaking has not fallen off just because of his scoring has taken a dip. So his playmaking is up and on both ends of the floor, might I add. I think that's the key thing. Just because if you're in a so-called slump, your defense doesn't need to take a hit because you hurt the team in that fashion.
Ron, it's crazy we're talking about this because we're talking about Tennessee and we're talking about how complete they are of a team with their inside presence with Adu and their three-point shooting. And we haven't even had to mention Dalton Connect yet, who is their go-to scorer. How crucial is that their go-to scorer, like they have a complete puzzle piece, and then they have this other guy that's their best scorer on the team.
And imagine, even to me, they don't get enough credit. Like Meshack doesn't. Josiah, when he comes out and hitting trail of threes, that makes the defense adjust. We're not even talking about the best duo to me in the SEC right now. When you look at it at points per game in Zakai and Dalton Connect, like it ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You know, you got behind it Antonio Reeves, or DJ Wagner, or Reed Shepard, whoever you want to throw in there. But man, Dalton Connect is a guy we don't even have to mention them. Like these are two should be first team all SEC guys, and we're raving about everybody else and what they're gonna look like. I think when you have it like that, man, that's when you got a complete team. That's why I think, you know, when you start talking about national championship or bust, you can believe it. It's like, okay, like these guys, and that when you have consistency in those guys, you don't have to mention them because it's automatically happening. Yeah, Dalton Connect shot maybe not a great percentage against Alabama, but you're sitting there scratching your head like, damn, this man got 25. Like, yeah. Where did he get the 25 from? You know what I'm saying? And all in the flow of the game. So these are guys you're not running plays for. You're just letting them get in the flow. They're not breaking off the offense. We're giving you the ball to go score. We're allowing you to apply pressure every single time. This is what I love Jordan Bone to death. That's my guy. I saw him last night. Man, this young man, when you talk about speed and explosiveness, it was second to none in the SEC. But you didn't get to see it on the floor. He went to the NBA Combine and broke all kind of records for vertical and things of that nature. But when you saw it, you saw blowouts. You think back to the SEC tournament, when he came to play and was aggressive, man, Kentucky wasn't no match, and they were loaded. It wasn't a match for them. That's what you see in Zakai. Applying that pressure. Imagine how many times that point guard used to get down there. Jordan Bone used to get around the free throw line, probe, dribble, and back it back out. Now Zakai getting right there at the free throw line. Oh, y'all ain't gonna respect it. I'm gonna hesitate, get up under your arm, do a scoop layup, but it's always pressure. That's what you love about this Tennessee team, and we haven't seen in the past. It was more so ball movement. Dalton Connect, get it. Okay, everybody get set. Ready? All right, what we gonna do? That's not happening no more. Dalton, you got it? You ain't got nothing? Swing it. Zakai, you got it? You ain't got nothing? They better not be laying off. Pop them. It's different, man, because they're always being aggressive. You're not waiting around like you're running the shot clock down or something.
Let me ask you this. I'm going to let you out of here. Ron's appearance brought to you by Dynasty Pools and Spas in Athens. Mention Off the Hook Sports. They'll take $500 off that spa they deliver in Knoxville and Chattanooga. And so you can go to the showroom and pick the spa out. They've got blemish models you'll save a ton of money on. First responders, military as well. Ron, finish this sentence for me.
Okay.
Dalton Connect will be known as Tennessee's best scorer since when he's done at Tennessee, whether that's this year, which it may well be. I've seen some people think he could be a top 5 pick. He will be Tennessee's best scorer since.
Damn.
Guess where I'm going? I don't even know if young Ron was with us. Tom.
Best scorer since. Golly. I don't want to step on the toes of nobody, man, because I thought Jordan McRae was a monster at putting the ball in the hole. CeeLo, we know. Kevin Punter Jr., the run he went on his senior year, even though they didn't win a lot with it. Like these guys that can put the ball in the hole, and you start dating back, just go get a bucket, all 3 levels.
You've needed it. It's the NCAA tournament. You're in a scoring drought. If you don't get a deuce right now, you've got major problems. You've lost all momentum. Rick Barnes is calling this play, and he can go to any of the guys you mentioned, or he can go to Allen Houston, or he can go to Bernard King, or he can go to Dalton Connect. Who's he going to?
That's hot.
Now the numbers that were put up by Bernard King are simply, I don't know what were astronomical, like not from, it was alien like those numbers were stupid. Allen Houston the same.
But they didn't have anybody else.
They didn't have nobody else with him.
I think he's the best natural scorer, will be known as that, the best natural scorer since Bernard King.
God, that's strong.
But Bernard King did so many other things that made him amazing.
Yeah, he rebounded the hell out of the ball.
Yeah, it sells Bernard King short. It sells Bernard King short. I'm not trying to do that. I like
his size, man. His size. The size is the difference. Because you got great shooters, got great scorers. Man, that size, that size of being able to get to that man post up. He goes to the dunker spot. He go off the dribble. He do pull-ups. Like, dude, that's where the big man's supposed to be. Like when the guard penetrates and drop it off in the short corner, then the big man go dunk. Like, Dalton Connect should not be in that spot. Like it's out of. He may be. Let's say this. He may be the hardest guard.
Okay.
1-on-1.
Is he already the greatest white player in Tennessee history? Him and Kevin Nash.
No, you had who was the Doug Roth guy? Remember Doug Roth?
Roth used to put it in. Justice used to put it in.
The best thing about Doug Roth's career, I'm sorry, Doug, if you're watching, I don't mean this as a shot, but when he was at, I believe it was the University of Florida, and they were doing Gator Chomp and giving him a really hard time. And do you remember this? He ran down the court, and it was full one-finger salute. And he did it with, I'll never forget, he did it with the knuckles and the thumb out.
That's really
the high school girl did it. And he just gave it to all of them. And it was that's an easy tech. Do you remember that?
No, but I wish I would have seen a video.
Running down the court after he scored, just flying it out there.
I'm glad I never saw that, Dave, because I would have tried it.
I'll find it famously on ESPN.
Ron did famously in a game against Florida, and he knows where I'm going. Ron did this right here and had the whole crowd doing it.
That's right. Yeah, we don't care nothing about the Gators. We don't care nothing about the Gators.
Yeah, but Ron, you do know that was a game where Brad Nelson hit that 3 that
that was stupid. That was stupid. He hit it from the right wing. I'll never forget it.
So you're fantastic, man. You're a superstar. Watch out, Jay Billis. I keep saying it. You can message him on one of his Twitter pages to get that boom boom room. Him and Elon Musk are just dominating Twitter.
Nothing like a hooker in the boom boom room.
That's right.
It's part of it.
Hey, can we have I would like a couple of your shirts to maybe give away and promote as part of. We're trying to come up with a name of it. Caleb, don't say what we said last night because we're deciding this Patreon group where people can be a part of a club, and it's either going to be called the Brothel or Hooker's Corner. Thoughts?
Please give them away at Hooker's Corner. Please give
Hooker's Corner. You like Hooker's Corner more than
away at Hooker's. Give the shirts away at Hooker's Corner. I'm gonna send them to you. I'm gonna send you 4 shirts. I got you. This ought to be a hot topic on the corner.
Ron, you be good, man. You know I love you.
I love y'all, man. Peace. Go
Ron Slay. What do you think about the corner? Man, I'll be honest with the group here because we discussed the brothel. My wife nixed that. I'll be honest with you. She was not happy about that. We also had a brainstorming session, me, Caleb, and my wife last night, and we came up with one that our graphics designer doesn't like. Now, she doesn't get to make the call, though, Caleb. It's our call, but she said it sounded a little too out there. It was going to be, what was it going to be again? It might still be.
Hooked Up Junkies?
Yeah, Hooked Up Junkies, because you're going to win weekly and monthly prizes. Thanks to I talked to our friends down there at Sports Treasures. So we're going to have like Tennessee prizes, and we're also going to have access for you to get quick answers from us when it comes to the Vols, and also a special message board. So all kinds of things in the Patreon group. We just got to come up with a good name. So I like Hooker's Corner or Hook's Corner.
But that would be the community though, but our fans would be the Hooked Up Junkies, right?
Hooker's Junkies.
Yeah. Hooker's Junkies. That's it. Hooker's Junkies. Hooker's Pimps.
I thought about that too. That got nixed by the missus. It happens to be Mrs. Hooker. And so
my first name is John, but we're not doing Johns. Don't worry.
Well, it could be the Johns. How about the Johns?
I was trying to say not the Johns.
What do you guys think about the Johns?
The Heathens. The Heathens. Daniel got it. The Heathens.
Hooker's House of Heathens.
And the fans are the Heathens.
Okay. I think that's pretty good. But we're going to give away weekly prizes, and we're going to give away some big, significant, cool prizes as well. The Orange Light District. Just a copy and screenshot this whole thing, Caleb. I mean, our message board is throwing high, hot heat right now. It's like Randy Johnson hitting a pigeon.
I feel like half of Randy Johnson's success was you were just scared when you were going to bat against him.
Well, of course it was.
But, oh, man. Hooker's Heathens. The Heathens on Hooker's Corner.
Yeah, kind of happy about that. We'll go with do we want to go ahead and make a call now? Is that what we're going to do?
We're going to circle back. We're going to keep these things going through the weekend. Don't worry. But I like Hooker's Heathens.
Now, here's the first thing we're actually going to give away that a lot of people. Did I mention this to you that we're going to give away? Can I go ahead and share that? The first thing we're going to give away, it's actually a children's book, and it is it's taking the world by storm. It's about tow trucks and snow. It's called Hookers and Blow. So that'll be our first big giveaway: Hookers and Blow in the Orange Light District. At what did we decide with Hooker's House of Heathens?
Hookers and Blow Save Christmas.
Yes, the Hookers and Blow Save Christmas. Did somebody write that book as a joke? And I've got it pulled up on the screen. If you're on our audio platforms, I apologize, but there's a real Christmas book called Hookers and Blow Save Christmas. It's great.
I mean, this is why I could never be Santa Claus, though. I'll just say it because
my question to you is, why do the tow trucks have such wide eyes? That would be my question to you.
Yeah, they do.
What
have
have they
big
been
guys.
doing? What have they been doing? I'm not really sure, but they seem like they've been up to something. As we're going to visit with T. Scott Jones with Banks and Jones here momentarily. Where do you rank James Pierce in taking another step among the most important developments that this program could have happen in the offseason? A guy that goes from very good to elite, which I think you and I both believe he has that sort of talent. How important is it for James Pierce to take that step, much like Nico on the other side?
I mean, is there much more of a step? My thing is, I don't think he can take much more of a step. I think the only thing James. Here's the thing.
I think he probably had a lot of blown assignments. Hooker's a blow. I think he probably had some blown assignments. I think he can make considerably. What were his stats last year? I mean,
Homeboy had like 10.5 sacks last year. And here's why I'm bringing this up, Dave. James Pierce had 10.5 sacks, and Tennessee wasn't in the position that they were in the year before, which is teams having to throw the ball a lot to come back on them. Now, imagine what James Pierce can do. What would James Pierce have done last year if he had Tennessee's offense of 2022 on the other side? 10.5, that's about, you're talking 7. He would have had 17 sacks last year.
I was going to go 14, but you could talk me into 17.
Yeah. And so you're telling me a guy could take another step after what would have been a quality of 17 sacks, which I'm setting the over-under on that this year, 17.
You're setting the over-under and make it 16.5. 17. 16 or make it 17.5. I actually would take the over at 16.5 and the under at 17.5. I think you nailed the number.
It's going to be 17. He's going to break Reggie White's sacks record by 2.
Well, what would that mean for James Pierce going into the NFL? Top 5 pick? Is it crazy to call him a top 5 pick? How many potential top 5 picks does Tennessee have in the NFL draft on their team? 2? Nico and James Pierce? Are those it? I don't think they usually have tackles, offensive tackles held in that high regard, but I don't think Tennessee has an elite one. Let's say top 10. How many players could you see going in the top 10?
From Tennessee right now?
Yes.
James Pierce is one. Nico Iamaleava is another. Maybe Brew McCoy, depending on what Nico Iamaleava. But okay, if Nico Iamaleava has like a historic year and Brew McCoy is his go-to receiver, that's it. But I think Mike Matthews potentially long-term, just not right now. But I believe in his potential long-term.
We're going to visit with T. Scott Jones here momentarily to get his thoughts on the James Pierce situation, which we believe is going to be resolved fairly soon. Former LSU wide receiver Kayshon Boutte arrested in a gambling scheme. How long is it until we see a Pete Rose type of figure? We've already seen it to some extent in Calvin Ridley, but it wasn't so dastardly that he ended up out of football forever like Pete Rose. But I do think there will be a major name at some point. In the NFL, you can bet on other sports besides football. You just can't bet on football. And I think kids with NIL money are going to make stupid decisions. And I will just tell you that I hear more from my son criticizing some of his friends that are into gambling more so than drinking or drugs. I think gambling is the vice to choose nowadays for a lot of young people. I think we're going to see some bad situations before this thing levels its out and figures itself out. Sports Treasures, carrying over 5 million sports treasures and so much more. Follow them on Facebook for the best sports memorabilia, daily updates. Sports Treasures TN on Facebook. Sports Treasures TN on Facebook. What do you think, and what can you tell me about Boutte?
So Kayshon Boutte was wagering up to $600,000 allegedly, and this wasn't the only crime here is underage. Was underage gambling because he wasn't of age to gamble in Louisiana, and he was doing it under fake names. He was having people wager for him under fake names.
It was Kayshon Rear End.
No, actually, but it's honest. You know,
anybody
funny?
Get that? Anybody?
You may think
this mic on.
You may think that. Like you're being groundbreaking with a joke, and you are, but Dave, you're not going to believe this. You want to know what one of his fake names was?
Derriere.
No, Kayshon Boutte 1.
Let me ask you another question. How much money was he gambling?
$600,000, which we know is with NIL money. And this is in Louisiana.
Was it all at the same time?
It was on multiple games, including one involving LSU. Let me share a picture with you, Dave. I actually have to share a picture with you while we're on this, too.
Let's do that, because this story's a blimey cheek on Kayshon Boutte's reputation.
He was... Remember this play against Alabama in 2020? How suspicious does that look now?
That he's dropping the ball before he got... Oh, he wasn't cheating. Are you saying
I am
he was
saying
dropping the ball?
Drops the ball before he gets into the end zone against Alabama. They give him the touchdown anyway, but I don't think he wanted the touchdown because I think he bet the under that day.
Oh, you don't believe that. Pure. We got all the way through to this point in the show and no insanity. LSU fans, go ahead and call Caleb out when you're watching this, because this is Smoky Mountain Red says makes you think. Come on, there's no way.
So in all seriousness, though, Dave, what should the punishment be for him? Because I'm going to tell you this right now. I think you do too. I love the Nick Saban rant from years ago of don't condemn players for life when they make mistakes when they're underage. What do you want them to be?
Not this one.
Not this one. I think he should be banned from the NFL forever. He should never be allowed to play football again. And I don't care that he did it when before he turned 21. I don't care that he was young. This is the one rule I say, I'm sorry, nothing. I would say if I'm the NFL, if you bet on playing college football, you're banned for life. If you bet on the NFL, you're banned for life. He should not be allowed to touch a football field ever again.
I agree. But let me pose this question to you. What if it's Caleb Williams, a superstar?
You mean like what the NBA had to deal with in 1993 with Michael Jordan?
Yes.
I think the NFL, unlike the NBA in 93, has reached a level where they don't have to depend on any superstar anymore. Patrick Mahomes could retire tomorrow and the league would be fine.
I agree.
And
I agree. And let's look at what they did. They could have come down harder. This is before your time, but Paul Hornig, I think he was suspended for a season, right?
Was it Paul Hornig that was suspended for a season?
It was a Bart Starr. One of the two, now I'm throwing one under the bus that didn't deserve it, but one of the two were suspended, or maybe they were doing it together. But they were for the Packers, and they were suspended for like a year. And they were the biggest superstars then, so you had to protect them, much like Jordan of the early 90s, when I believe that he was suspended for 2 seasons to go play baseball. But that's not football. That's not the case anymore. There's no superstars, and partly because they wear helmets. You want there to be parity across the board. I don't think there's any guy that would be able to avoid a suspension had they been caught up in gambling. And when you see that, it's pretty obvious. You see with Campbell, Cunningham, Taylor, and Haun, you enjoy life better when you see better. The local vision service for LASIK, cataract surgery, regular eye examinations, ccteyes.com, ccteyes.com. So, Caleb, thoughts?
Yeah, that's why baseball had the leverage. If this was 1920, they're not throwing Babe Ruth out of the league. Babe Ruth, was the guy who saved the league after the gambling scandal in 1919. I mean, that thing, Babe Ruth literally saved baseball by himself in the 1920s after the Black Sox scandal. And
I believe all the major sports are past the point that you would protect a guy like the NFL did with the Packers. I believe all of them are. And like you and I think that they did with Jordan, that was a hidden suspension.
Yes,
I believe
because
that
the NBA needed him.
Yeah, I believe all the leagues are beyond that. I don't think Victor Wembanyama, I mean, if he did something gambling, you're gone.
Like, that is total bullshit.
Yeah, you're not going to do
that.
Yeah,
I agree. And so I think now,
you take your Belgium fries and you take them back to France because Belgium developed them. And we named them. We named them. American soldiers named the French fries. Take that.
I gotta be honest. I think I'm glad Louisiana is bringing criminal charges because I think there should be federal criminal charges for if you bet on the sports you play.
Travis is telling me too with the Boutte thing that the game was won. He bet the under. It is possible. that he dropped the ball as he was crossing the goal line. I think it's just an ignoramus, but you think it's a guy with a severe.
I mean, chances are he's just an ignoramus because so many people have done that stupidly over the years.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when someone has this thing added to it, it starts to look really suspicious. Just so, I mean, I just have to be honest. Dave, if you're Tennessee right now, because you need to protect yourself, do you pass a state law banning all college athletes from betting on the sport they're playing and say you face years in prison if you do it? Years.
Surely those laws are already in place for your own sport.
No, they're not. That's the problem. He's not arrested for gambling on the sport. He's arrested for underage gambling. There are no laws on the books about gambling on the sport you play, and this is the problem.
Well, I don't know that it should be illegal. It shouldn't be illegal. It's just immoral and get you kicked out of the sport. Why is it illegal?
I think Congress needs to step in and pass a law to say you can't. It's insider trading. It's insider trading. Dave, you can't insider trade. I mean, you're betting to bet on a sport.
I'm really good at it, I can.
To bet. Martha Stewart went to prison for a year because someone told her move your money, and she did it. And
Travis says, I can feel the voice coming. I'll go ahead and tell you. You can mark this down. As sure as we'll get Caleb's voice, his voice within a week, I'm better than Martha Stewart at insider trading.
Oh, wow. Dave is incriminating himself. Wow. Y'all heard that?
I passed on insider trading. He's Caleb Calhoun. I'm Dave Hooker.
Wait, I just have to add this, though, and because I do have to bring this up. If you, again, even if you're an administrator, I don't care if you're a cheerleader, you shouldn't be allowed to bet on the team, on the sport you're affiliated with. I think there is too much inside information out there, and I think it should be illegal. And I know politicians do it. They should all go to prison when they do it too. And by the way, my voice is for sanctimonious people. I'm being sanctimonious right now.
I'm defending the voice.
I am being sanctimonious myself right now.
So for new listeners, they have no idea what you're talking about. They're like, your voice is perfectly fine.
Like when Alabama fans sit there and go, everybody wants to come to Alabama.
There's the voice.
Yes.
There's the voice. The sanctimonious.
We're in Alabama and we have integrity.
Better than you voice.
The way Joe Paterno carried himself until we found out he was covering up for a pedophile.
Yeah, pretty much. He's Caleb Calhoun. I'm Dave Hooker. This has been a presentation of Off the Hook Sports, represented by Banks and Jones. Play to win. Tennessee's trial attorney. They'll go to trial for you for criminal defense. And also, how about personal injury? Have a fantastic morning, day, night.